Hello and welcome to L&G's Just Covered podcast, where we talk to advisors and key stakeholders about their views, opinions in the intermediary space. My name's Wayne.
And I'm Hazel, and today we are joined by a very special guest. We've got Andrew, who's been not only known for the Traitors, but the huge amount of work that he is doing in the wellbeing space as well. And we're really, really looking forward to hearing Andrew's story. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Been looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's a hot day down in London, so thank you for making the trip across from Wales.
That's fine.
It is hot.
Elizabeth line is nice and cool, so don't mind.
So no, lovely to have you on, and really keen really to hear about your kind of story, I guess, to start with. So when we think about your background, you've worked in the banks, Building Society space. Tell us a little bit about that as that started off.
Yeah, I was in Lloyd's Bank for 18 years. Okay. So I worked my way up the ladder. I was a branch manager for probably the last 7 years going off. And then I left the bank. I went into corporate insurance then. So I was an insurance broker selling business insurance, liability, professional indemnity and things like that. So I did that for nearly 10 years. And then I only left that last year. Obviously, when my life it took a change. It was crazy. So I left the insurance world, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a great career in both jobs, really. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, good. And whilst you were obviously going through that time at the insurance brokerage, you had quite a change in your own personal circumstances as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So I was invited to apply for a TV program called The Traitors, the BBC One smash it program. The country love it. And so the reason I went on that show was to get a profile on the platform I got now to help people with their mental health and ultimately reduce the rates of suicide, which are disgusting. You know, there are 86 men a week, 86 men a week in the UK alone commit suicide. And by the end of the year, that's going to be 100, they said. So it's shocking. So I want to use my own story, my own journey, my background, my upbringing to help people, inspire people and give them hope and say you can turn your life around and you can do great things even after suffering adversity, being told you can't do something, you can change. So it had the effect I wanted. I didn't go on the show for any other reason. I don't care about being recognised. I don't care about that sort of thing. I'm a humble, down-to-earth guy. I know where I come from. So I'll never change the person I am. I just want to help and use my platform to help people.
And there's just so much about, because we've caught up previously, obviously, with regards to it, so many different facets to the way you were brought up, some of the pressures you've had, some of the trials and tribulations that people will still have now. And it's just amazing that you're out there running through that and articulating the way you were feeling at that time and where you've got to now. So it's probably worth us sort of elaborating a little bit on that and please be as detailed as you have with us in the catch-up calls with regards to it, because it really is captivating, I must admit.
Yeah, I think it's really important for the listeners or the watchers to hear my background, my story, where I've come from to where I am now. Yeah. It's been a massive transformation and I think it's really important. I'm open and honest. I'm a real passionate guy and I want people to see warts and all. There's too much fluff and unicorns and rainbows out there at the moment, especially on social media, but life is not like that. That's nonsense to me. I want to be the real person out there who says, look, I did a video this morning on social media. It's a great engagement. I had a bad week last week. I was crying every day. I was in a really bad way. So I talk about well-being and mental health and everything and looking after yourself. You can't pour from the empty cup, all these different analogies. But last week I didn't look after myself at all. So I was really down. My bucket was empty. So on the weekend I switched off. I did a bucket refilling last weekend, did saunas but I'm a real human being. I got feelings and emotions the same as every single person. I'm not a robot. And the thing is, people are watching people on social media, especially people in the well-being space, and thinking their lives are perfect. I said, they got their stuff going on exactly the same as every single person. Just don't post about it. Do you know what I mean? And you see these guys, the 6-pack sat in their yacht in Dubai. I get up at 4 o'clock every day. I have an ice bath. I do meditation for an hour, yoga for an hour, go to the gym for an hour, read a book, all before 9 o'clock. Really? Do you really? And you're trying to compare with that person. I spoke to a woman the other day about it, and she was really down. I suppose she was looking at this fitness woman influencer woman who doing the same as that. But I said, you've got 2 screaming kids in the house. One has been up all night with toothache. One you got to get ready for school. You've got a full-time day job. You can't copy them. Stop comparing yourselves to other people.
Yeah. It's one thing saying it and doing it, I suppose, like you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's that comparisons they see for joy, isn't it?
Yeah, so bad,
So tell us that, thinking about your background and your upbringing, if we start right back to where life started for you, and tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so I was born obviously in 1978, a long time ago. And I was born into a traditional British family, or Welsh family especially. Mother and father married 61 years this year. Wow. My dad's 81, my mother's 79. And the way they showed their love to me was a roof over my head, clothes on my back, and food on the table. We now know it's called emotional trauma. I don't like to say the word trauma because that makes it sound like something bad happened. Nothing bad happened. And I'm compassionate towards my parents now. They don't know how to show their feelings and emotions. My grandparents could just go on to World War II, for example. So that's the way they showed their love to us. My grandparents were worse than my parents for showing their feelings and emotions, I suppose. So I was brought up, I got 3 brothers, 2 older brothers. My one brother's 9 years older than me, one's 7 years older than me, one's 7 years younger than me. So 4 big, strong rugby boys, doormen, security, gym people. So I played rugby from the age of 5. And the only way I thought of getting my dad's love and affection was achieving things in life, playing rugby, being the best player on the pitch. I wanted to play for Wales, like lots of people in Wales. I want to put on the red jersey and run out on the stadium. And that was my dream. We didn't show any feelings and emotions, nothing at all, because we were men, we're big, strong, tough men. Men don't have feelings and emotions. And from a young age, lots of boys are taught to suppress their feelings and emotions. But don't cry, don't be a baby, man up, girls cry. And you're told these things from a young age. You don't really show your feelings and emotions. And I was brought up, my parents are great people, just their generation they come from. Like for example, I paint a picture. They've never driven a car, my parents, none of them can drive. They've never been in an aeroplane. They haven't got internet. They haven't got mobile phones. They watch the same things on telly every week, every day. Emmerdale Farm, Coronation Street, the Antiques Roadshow. They have the same meals every night, fish on a Wednesday. They're creatures of habit. They've got a fixed mindset. They've got a growth mindset. And I grew up listening to that, I suppose, in that household. So I was similar to them, I suppose. So I had to totally change my whole unconscious mind the last couple of years, work on myself, to be a better version of myself and my loved ones, my friends, and my work colleagues. It's tough to me try to change and try to, not say your parents are wrong, but just try to change your belief, your mindset. You're programmed from a young age, from the age of 0 to 7, your beliefs get pushed into you, and you get programmed from that age. You don't need better. You just go along with it, I suppose. You're a kid.
What's habits, isn't it?
Basically.
It's like daily habits, and the more they're reinforced, because you get that, not reward, but it, like your life goes on still behaving like that, doesn't it? So you're not getting any kind of intervention. Where was the turnaround for you?
Well, basically, I was in a very serious road traffic accident. I was dead on the side of the road. So on the 20th of August, 1999, I was driving my car. There was myself, my previous partner, my son's mother in the passenger seat, my best friend and his girlfriend in the back, and a girl I used to work with in the back. I hit a curb on the left-hand side, and I flipped the car to the right-hand side. So I went out the driver's side window, or my top half did. My legs were in the footwell, and my arm and my head were dragged along the floor for a couple of 100 yards. And when the car stopped sliding, it landed on top of me. So when the emergency service turned up with the vehicle, they were asking people questions, and they said, it's too late now, he's dead. So they thought I was dead on the side of the road. I had to have 2 blood transfusions there and then, because I lost, I think it was 6 pints of blood. You got 8 pints in your body, and I lost nearly all of it. And I had 2 blood transfusions there and then. I'm not going to go into detail, but I had nothing on top of my head. So my head was dragged along the floor for a couple of 100 yards. So I had no skin, no hair. I smashed my skull to pieces, and I was a mess. And then when the fire brigade turned up, they'd lift the car off to get underneath the car to work on me. And then they took me to one hospital in Newport called the Royal Gwent. But there was nothing they could do for me there. So I had a police escort then to the Morrison Hospital in Swansea, because that's where neurology was and plastic surgery at the time. And I was in a coma then for 4 weeks in intensive care. And my family were told on 3 occasions, my parents and my brothers, that I'm not going to make it through the night. They were called into the hospital, so he's not going to make it through the night. And when I did start recovering, they were told from the scans we've done on Andrew, he's got severe brain damage because there's lots of shadowing on his brain, which meant dead tissue. So he said if he wakes up, he's not going to recognise anyone, walk, talk, use his arms and legs ever again. So I woke out of my coma. I didn't know where I was or what happened. My mother had to explain. My mother was standing on my bed crying, and I had to explain what happened. But like I remembered who they were. But then the doctors came round, I think it was about 3 days later, and said, the surgeons, you're never going to walk again. So then they told me that. And my first response was, I guarantee I'll walk out of this hospital. I learned to walk. It took me, I think it was 2 weeks to learn to walk again. So I proved the doctors wrong. So my mother says, embarrassing. You're lying in bed with a tracheotomy in, all these tubes in intensive care. The well-spoken manager will tell you you're not going to walk again. And you're arguing with them, telling you you are going to walk again. I did. And that's what I talk about now. Self-belief is so important in life. If I'd listened to them years ago, I probably wouldn't have walked in here now, and I wouldn't be here now, to be honest.
And where did you get that from? Because bearing in mind your upbringing, all that type of thing, I know you're into the sport. Was it from that? Did you take it from somewhere? Was there an inspiration for you?
I wish I had some woo guru answer to give you, to be honest, but I got something built inside me. I'm driven, and if somebody tells me I can't do something, I'll do it, and I'll do it 10 times better. You know, if work, in life, I suppose, teachers in school, I'll do it. I suppose being brought up in a competitive household, as you can imagine, the testosterone in my house was ridiculous. I mean, 3 brothers. Like losing the game of rugby on the weekend wasn't a bad thing. It was going home and seeing my brothers now in their, what's the word, mick taken out to you, I suppose. I couldn't swear. I'm in a mick taken out to you. That was the worst bit about it, I suppose. So I grew up in what was, not just in my house, toxic masculinity, not just in my household, but I was in a rugby club from 5 years of age, in a gym from 14 years of age. I say to people now, I say, where do young boys learn how to be men? watching older boys, role models.
Was that triggered kind of by the accident and the car crash, that dip in self-confidence?
I was confident.
Self-belief?
Yeah, because after my accident, they offered me counselling, but I was a macho 21-year-old invincible kid. I thought I'd see somebody in a white coat who would judge me, psychoanalyze me and get inside my head. I thought, I'm not seeing that. I couldn't talk to my family. We don't talk about feelings and emotions. Boxing, rugby, football, any sport, but not feelings and emotions. So I didn't talk to anybody about it. I refused counselling. Then 15 years after my accident, my girlfriend actually said, you need to see somebody because you're self-sabotaging this relationship all the time. You're a great guy. You're amazing. You're brilliant. But you're self-sabotaging every couple of weeks or months. I push her away, I suppose. And so I went for counselling. And the woman I saw was amazing. She was lovely. She was down to earth. And after the first session, she goes, I know what's wrong with you. And I said, what's that? PTSD and depression. She goes, yeah, you've got them as well. But no, you're grieving. And I said, what do you mean grieving? I do talks on grieving now, but at the time I didn't know much about it. I said, that's when you die. I said, you haven't physically got to die to grieve. She goes, people, when they're tendering for a big project and work doesn't come off, that's grieving. When you have to retire from work, change departments to another department in work, lose your friends, that's grieving. She goes, when you have to give up your sport from an injury, that's grieving. Retirement. And she said, people, even when they have children, grieve. They can't go out as much. They haven't got as money, as much freedom. It's a change. All you do is a loss of identity. And he said, you're grieving. So all I've heard of you today is, I used to play rugby. I used to look like this. I used to do that. I used to. So grieving is a massive problem that every single person in this room will go through. Yeah, physical loss eventually, but you could have go through one of them things. And I was grieving for years and years and years. And then about 18 months ago, I tracked the man that was saving my life. A bit creepy on Google, like tracking that on Google. I went to visit him, and he's really well respected in medicine in Wales. He advises the Welsh government. He left Morrison Hospital, Professor Lane, and he went down the bay, down Cardiff Bay, to advise the Senedd, down the government. I went to see him where he is, and I walked into his office, and he said, you're a miracle. So you should have died on so many occasions, he said. I can't believe how big and strong you are. It's incredible. So meeting him made me realise I got a second chance at life. I can either use my trauma. My trauma defined my life for 20 years probably. So I can either walk around with a chip on my shoulder, resentful, angry, fed up, whatever, for the next 30, 40, 50 years, or I can use my trauma for good to help inspire the next people who've been through trauma. I tick so many boxes. I've been in a coma, been told I'd never walk again, lost my confidence, toxic masculinity, corporate background. So I could tick all these different boxes. I could help so many people out there. And my story's relatable to thousands of people.
Yeah, because you sort of talk about the typical macho sort of rugby players, doorman. Obviously, there's that side of it, and that type of person that you apply to. But that macho, that toxic masculinity thing would be in the corporate world as well, as you say. It is absolutely everywhere, isn't it?
Egos everywhere.
Yeah. The massive egos. And the thing about the change piece, because that's what it is, the grieving for change, isn't it? Like you say, interesting to say when you change departments or go to different areas, do different types of things, whatever it might be, that you're going to grieve in that way. And it's that impact of change. And you mentioned quite noticeably there around how you react to it. So in terms of, say, for example, you probably know still the similar types of people, doormen, security guards, that type of thing. How have you helped those types of people? Have they been warm to this, receptive to what you've been going through now, and how you've been helping people and articulating it?
Yeah, so my story's relatable. I don't want to be like, you say, unicorn. I want to be a relatable person to thousands, if not millions of people in this country. Not just men, women as well. I got lots of women speaking to me. They can experience grieving. All the grieving is the emotional reaction to the loss of any kind. That's the definition of it. Any kind of emotional reaction. So I relate to lots of women reach out to me who've got, like, perhaps their dads, the children's father's not around, and they got young boys they want to help, and that's why I speak to a lot of children. I coached kids in rugby for years and years and years as well. But like men I looked up to when I was younger have started out reaching out to me because they basically wear a mask. Every single person, probably people in this room, wear masks. I wore a mask for 20 years of my life because you're brought up into this world and you get conditioned then by your parents. Sometimes they'll program you or condition you with their values, which are outdated or even totally incorrect. And then you're programmed from a young age. Then you go to school, you get conditioned some more by the teachers. You have to go to university. All successful people go to university. You think, well, I don't want to go to university, but if I want to be successful in life, I have to go to university. So you end up going to university and to study something, which is a total waste of time, 20 grand in debt sometimes, or you've got to find a job with the biggest salary possible because we're led to believe from a young age more money means more happiness. And you get to the top of this mountain, you work your way up the ladder, you look back and you look in the mirror one day thinking, who's this person like? You're down here and you've got 20 levels above of hurt, social acceptance, other people's expectations, armor, coats of armor you wear. People call it a midlife crisis. It's not, it's an awakening. You actually realise who the true person is you are. And that happened to me a couple of years ago. I got to the top of the ladder, houses, cars, I wasn't happy. I was just looking at myself in the mirror thinking, if I was a man looking at my life, I'd want what I had: a nice house, good body, nice car, good job, 6-figure salary. But I was empty because I was living everybody else's expectations, not my own.
Yeah, it's that mask piece, isn't it? And I suppose, Hazel, with regards to, applies for obviously males and females, especially in the workplace when you first come in, trying to move up, aren't you? You're trying to be what you think people want you to be. But obviously nowadays, obviously they talk about you being your true self. But we've all been through that, haven't we? Where we've put that mask on.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the thing that I'm probably reflecting here, listening to some of that, is what I'm finding interesting when we're talking about the grieving piece is quite often all of those moments that we've just spoken about, maybe having your first baby and thinking that your previous life's lost. That's what I'm probably about to go through. And then you've got, career change, team changes, etc. They're all things that tend to be celebrated. So it's quite a contrast then to think actually, whilst the world around you is celebrating you for these things, so probably for yourself, and correct me if I'm wrong, people are like, oh, that's great, you got better, you got through it, look, you're walking out of hospital. But then that probably makes you quite a contrast actually internally. You were grieving what you'd left behind the day before you stepped in that car.
Yeah, amazing, because I love the NHS. I know they got a bad rap, but the people on the ground work so hard. I've seen firsthand the effort, the work they put in, back-to-back shifts. They just flat out. There's people above making bad decisions that ruin it. But the people on the ground, so they've saved my life on numerous occasions. So I'll never hear a bad word about the NHS. I'll fight their corner. I look like they're brilliant. They have got their issues. But but they patch up in hospital and send you home. They don't really prepare you for what's to come. I'm like, great. I'm alive and all that then, but I lost my identity. I lost this. I hated myself in the mirror. I could have had counselling perhaps, but this is 25 years ago, so there was a massive stigma around me then. And from the background I had, if you see a counsellor, you were told you were nuts. So you think you're sitting in a corner rocking back and forth crying when you go to see a counsellor. I said, America do it all the time. They see a therapist or counsellor. It's normal over there, but in this country, there's still a stigma around it. I've seen a counsellor. Oh, what's wrong then? I'm not broken. It's nice to speak to somebody and get it off your chest, because every single person in this room has got a trauma. It might be a little trauma. It hasn't got to be a big trauma like I had. It could be a broken finger, could be a trauma. Anything could be a trauma. Unless you deal with your trauma, it'll sit inside you and it'll come back and bite you on the backside one day, and there'll be something insignificant that'll trigger it. Somebody might cut you up on the road. Somebody might say something wrong to you, and you'll snap like the straw broke the camel's back. You'll either try and take your own life, or you might do something totally out of character. So trauma is a huge thing. I talk about that a lot as well. So trauma is massive. Yeah. And they don't prepare you for that in hospital.
Huge. It's an interesting one, because I can remember, it is making me reflect on times in my own life. And I can remember my mum went through stage 3 breast cancer. She'd actually been told, you're probably not going to live. You've got X amount of time. She was kind of similar to you. It was like, I'm not getting defeated by this. And that we're 10 years on from that now. And, she's absolutely fine, touch wood, and it's been amazing. But it was quite an interesting experience when she got told that she had the all clear. She actually took a massive dip. So I'm just reflecting now, she probably thought, I'd sort of an old life back, and that doesn't happen. So it is interesting, as a provider, we look at insurances, don't we, to help people with these things. But you're right, it's that counselling and wellbeing piece that people probably don't think about, because they just think about that physical
And it's day to day, like you say, in America, and it's interesting. Do you think the rise of the life coach might ease us into, for us being a bit more like America, like you say, because there's that stigma still for the counsellor piece?
Yeah, hopefully. I think it's important to talk to people. And I've got a really good support network around me, luckily. But it's funny. I changed my circle, and you're the average of the 5 people who spend the most time with, they say. So I try and surround myself with better people, I suppose, or better quality people go in the same direction as me, same beliefs, and they want to work on themselves and grow. And like in life, you've got batteries, you've got hoovers. The batteries pick up and charge you, you feel great leaving them. The hoovers just suck the life out of you. And I've got some of my family, unfortunately, but you can't change your family, but I can change my friendship circle and the people I sit by in work. So if you sit by people in the office that are a bit draining, move where you sit. But yeah, so in life, I try and surround myself with better people. So talking is so important. Like I got thousands of friends, but on one hand, I probably got people I can ring any time of the day, 24 hours a day. They won't judge me. They won't treat me any differently. They won't try and fix me. They just sit in the trenches with me and listen. And that's all people want who are struggling with their mental health, some, not all. There are severe cases out there, but I'm a massive believer in prevention is better than cure. And I think if you were encouraged to open up and talk, or created a safe space for them people, how many suicides could we have reduced, or some lives could we have saved if they had a space to talk and open up? Because a lot of the time, when I was struggling, for example, if I'd known somebody had been there to talk to anytime, you've been so powerful. And I didn't want fixing. I just want somebody to sit with me and listen to me. So I don't want to see a counsellor or a therapist or a psychologist. It's a bit intimidating, sat across a desk from someone. All I wanted is somebody to walk by, side by side, have a chat to, and open up to. And a lot of the time I was speaking to so many people over the last year, and I said, they contacted me, can I talk to you? I said, look, I'm not a qualified counsellor. I don't care. I want to speak to somebody who's been through something, who's come out the other side, who understands what I'm going through. So I think there's a huge not gap in the market. Yeah, people who've got lived experience, I think it's really important. Somebody who's got a lived experience, who's been down. And I had some dark days. Some days I lie in bed crying, looking up at the ceiling, wish I wasn't here anymore, wish I was a hindrance to my family, I caused so much stress to them, wish I was dead. And my son saved my life, to be honest, not literally, but he was born 2 years after my accident. So I was 23 when he was born. And he gave me a purpose in life again. I drank myself out of bed every day to be a good role model and a good father to my son, like my dad was to me. Nobody saw this. I wore a mask. So I get up every day, go off to work in my corporate banking job, shirt and tie and a big smile on my face. Then clothes, I hated myself. I said to people now, just be nice. You don't know what's going on in people's lives. I said, it's the people with the nicest houses, the fanciest bodies, or they're the ones struggling the most sometimes. And the people in the big businesses at the top, it's lonely at the top sometimes. And they can't really talk to their staff and they don't talk to anybody about it. And that's why a lot of them must really struggle with their mental health. So to be kind to someone.
And it's relatable, isn't it? Yeah. Plenty of people to get out in the morning to be role models for their kids. That's what they want to do. They want to set the right example for them. But you don't know what's going on behind it. And like you say, being kind to yourself and being honest with yourself and trying to actually be serious and actually apply something to yourself. Be kind if you know what I mean.
Being vulnerable is a massive vulnerability there is. And I think in this country, we think we've got an equation, vulnerability equals weakness. But it's not. Vulnerability is strong and brave and courageous. Like there's 4 scenarios of people I've spoken to the last couple of years. Like I read a man helping his 42-year-old wife fill in her last will and testament after being diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. A lady being pregnant after having 4 miscarriages. A 56-year-old woman set up her own business, having worked all her life. And a man knocking his best friend's door to tell him his only son has been killed in a car crash. So the 4 emotions, all them people said, the first emotion they all said they felt was vulnerable. I say, do you think they're weak? So I don't. I think they're really brave and courageous. So this whole thing about opening up and talking, and I talk in companies as well, like being vulnerable as a leader is so powerful. It humanizes you and it creates a better culture in your workplace. And I get you got to wear different hats as a boss, as a manager, leader. Being human doesn't mean you're walking around crying or telling everybody you're not very good at your job. It just means you can humanize yourself and say to your staff, you have failed in the past, but this is how you corrected it. It just shows how you is human. Because you see these people sat, the CEOs, the MDs, and you think, oh, they're God. They never get anything. They know everything. They don't. Like, and if you're a leader, I say to my staff in the bank, I don't know everything. I said, I work as a team. Take my title off me. All the title does is give you different roles and responsibilities in your company. I'm more valuable to the company than you. It's just as important as me. So I created a good culture in my team, an open, honest culture in my team. So they came to me with issues, with ideas, whereas a lot of leaders out there still are leading with fear and shaming people. I had league tables in the bank, for example. You're bottom of this league table. So you don't get the best of your staff, shaming them, I said. They leave the company, I said. Don't do that. Create a better culture and environment and humanizing things. So that's what I try and do now when I go to businesses and speak to these leaders. I say, lead with vulnerability. And they don't even know what that means, a lot of them don't. They think it's a weak thing.
Yeah, it's creating that connection, isn't it? It's just relationships. If you share a bit of yourself, the more you share, the more people are going to be sharing back. And therefore you have that connection, and they're more likely to build the trust, isn't it, from there. And then, if you like, I'm for a wall for you, for want of a better way of describing it, getting that real connection.
I think like Steve Jobs said, he recruits people who know more than him. Steve Jobs, one of these successful people, I think he said he recruits people.
Similar as well, doesn't he?
They know more than him, he said. He's just got to manage them all and like doing all that. But he gets all these other people to work around him. And I said, that's what's good in a business too. Some people employ really talented people in a business and then coach it out to him, or don't let him or her share their talent. Thinking, what's the point in recruiting them? You're like all robots. I said, you bring in the good talent and good people with good ideas, good experience. Let them flourish, let them grow. Don't try and keep them small. Let them do. I think some people feel threatened by people who are got more ability, more experience, more talented.
I think there's a tendency when you go up, and we talked about it in the previous one we filmed, in that where when you get to as you go up and up and up, you think you should know everything, you have to do everything or whatever, and people do struggle with that that change, don't they? But you don't. You have to be able to sort of pull yourself back, but at the same time be approachable, be vulnerable, like you say, and agreeable with that. Because it is difficult, isn't it? I think once you start not doing that, you do think, oh, am I worthy? It does go through your mind, doesn't it?
Fear of failure. Failure is a massive problem. That's one of the things I sort of said earlier on, maybe. I was so scared of failing growing up that I would never step in my comfort zone. I don't do anything. I didn't do things I knew I was going to win or be good at. Because I thought failing was a bad thing. I did a big talk on this last night to 500 people actually in Cardiff. And I said, as leaders, as parents, as teachers, we've got to teach our children failure's not a bad thing. It's how you handle our failures. It counts. I said, you've got to give up. But I thought you could sit back and think, right, why didn't I achieve it? Put things in place to achieve it the second time, the third time, the fourth time. Doesn't matter when you achieve it. And that's how you build strength and resilience. Keep going and bouncing back. People say bouncing back from failure. I don't say it's bouncing back. I say it's bouncing forward. Because if you bounce back, you're at the same place you were before. If you bounce forward, you want to learn from it, grow and move forward. So I say bouncing forward resilience. So you move forward. And that's what, failing. I was And so much so, my son's school sports day, when he was like in primary school, when he was 5, 6, 7, he'd come over every year to get me for the Father's Day race. But I go on purpose in my suit from work, or I'd fake an injury, because there was 2 boys that I was in school with my age. One did athletics for Wales, the 100 and 200 metres, and one played rugby on the wing for Wales, so I knew I'd lose. He'd run off every year crying because I wouldn't do the race. Yeah. I think, how mad is that? But his mother would do it. She was useless. She'd come last every year. But he didn't care. He didn't care if I come first 10. He didn't care. He wanted his dad to run the sports day race. But I thought I was so scared of losing and being embarrassed and failing, I wouldn't do it. So only the last 2 years, I've stepped in my comfort zone massively. I've grown more as a person in the last 2 years than I have in the last probably 30 years, I would imagine. But I love it. I don't care if I win or lose. I enjoy the experience now. So I've changed my mindset completely.
And I think business owners will feel the same as well, won't they? People running their business, forward. People in organisations, they may not want to go for that job. They may not want to try that new skill. They may not want to diversify into a different business area, and they don't do it out of the fear of failure.
Yeah, we all have a lot of fixed mindset in big business. They've been in the company a long time. They like change, and I didn't like change. My mother and father, they don't understand. I mean, they think it's stupid. I was there the other day, and I had a couple of meetings in the house. I don't know why I was there. I had a couple of meetings in the house. They said, well, are you busy? You doing work? I said, I've been busy all day. Well, I left the house. I've had 5 Zoom calls. Well, that's not a meeting. That's stupid. I said, it is a meeting. I said, your idea of a meeting is getting up, leaving my house with a shirt and tie on, driving to their office, and that's a meeting. That's not what we do it these days. I said, I've had a Zoom call with 2 guys in Manchester, a lady in Birmingham, and a lady in London. Well, that's not a meeting, that's stupid. They don't understand.
And you come from a background where people all do manual work, because that's where I came from as well. So you think, what's going on?
Yeah, if I had to drive to all them offices, that would have taken me days. Plus, I would have spent hundreds of pounds in fuel. I've done that in 4 hours. I've had 4 meetings in 4 hours and not left the house. Oh, that's not stupid. The old days are better. Because they got a fixed mindset. And I had a fixed mindset for years. I wouldn't try anything in my comfort zone. I say to people now in organizations and businesses, unless you have a fixed growth mindset, people in as a person or as a business, you'll fall behind. Competitors will move ahead. Like when COVID happened, lots of businesses had to go online. PTs, for example, and if they didn't, they wouldn't be here now. So they had to evolve and adapt.
They were forced, weren't they?
Yeah.
We were all forced, weren't we? You know, us as a company, us as individuals.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in the growth mindset. You've mentioned it massively loads of times. So how do you help people migrate into that growth mindset? What tips do you give people on that?
I just say there's a diagram I normally show on the slides, and it's got a red circle, fixed mindset. You keep it comfortable, you feel easy, you do the things, and people, as humans, we like to do the things sometimes that are easy in life, I suppose. And then when you move out of it, start moving out of it, you feel a bit. Same when you're driving for the first time. I drove here this morning to the train station. I can't remember driving here. It's an automatic pilot. When I first started driving, I was like, we all probably did. It's all fingers and thumbs, a nightmare. But I said, if you keep on going, I said, once you start feeling uncomfortable, that's when growth happens. Keep pushing, keep working hard. On the other side of that, great things happen. You grow, you learn. So I say to people, just keep on pushing. Ask for help. Don't suffer on your own. Don't struggle on your own in all aspects of life, mental health, in work if you're growing. Reach out and ask for help. It doesn't make you weak. Doesn't make you a failure. Just ask for help. And then just keep going and keep growing. And once, after a while, then it becomes a habit and it's just normal then. So I just encourage people to inspire them and give them a bit of hope, I suppose. And say it's normal to feel like that. Everybody feels like that when they step out of their comfort zone. If you go for another job interview, you get imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough to do this. I think it's, and you get all these different thoughts. And after a while, you think, that's easy. Yeah. I say it's normal to feel like that, though. It's not an alien thing to feel like that.
Definitely, because I'm thinking a lot of the people that listen to this episode will be business owners, self-employed. The intermediaries that we deal with who sell all the different, financial products on behalf of providers like ourselves. That is tough. That is balancing different product types, and that balancing a business, balancing a learning, all these things potentially leading teams. So I think there's a load of tips there that they'll be able to take in bucket loads and try and implement in their business.
Loads more.
Yeah.
Well, how long we got?
The thing I'm thinking of is, when we look at protection as an example, or an annuity, or those products that people sell slightly less, and advise on slightly less, they probably think, oh, that's out of my comfort zone to have that conversation. I've not had a conversation like that in quite a while. But actually, it's those habits, isn't it, as a business owner, and regardless of what walk of life you're looking at it. It is just building those habits and then keeping on growing and progressing.
We had a brief conversation outside. Somebody even said, I see, it's not sales. Take the word sales out of it. You're just providing solutions to people's problems, and you're helping change lives. If I'd had a critical illness policy back when I had an accident, I had a stroke, I'd been paid a nice lump sum. It could help me. I rushed back to work too soon, probably. I was 4 months in hospital. I was back in work in 5. So because I didn't have the income, my sick pay was 6 months full, 6 months. So after 6 months, my pay dropped to half pay, and I couldn't afford that. But if I had a critical illness policy or IPP, income protection policy or something like that, it would have taken pressure off. So I could have taken my time and recovered properly. But I used to find in the bank, people just rush back to work when they haven't fully recovered, end up getting ill again and getting back off on the sick for longer than they were the first time. So these advisors who are selling these products, you're changing lives, you're helping support people. Just sales are a dirty word. It's not, take the word sales out of it. I used to be a salesman for years and years and years, but I provided solutions to help people. And if you didn't, you miss selling, to be honest. You only provide the product to someone who needs the product, I suppose. And I say to people, everybody who's working needs a income protection or a critical illness policy. And I say, with the advancements in medicine these days, you're less likely to die from illness than you are, to survive, I suppose. So I see people who've got so much life cover policy. I said, great, what if you had cancer? None of them are going to pay out. What are you going to do? Oh, I haven't thought of that. I said, so a critical illness policy is probably not more important than a life cover policy, I think, personally. Or you're paying hundreds of pounds for your pet insurance. If you don't, who's going to look after your pet when you're gone? You can't look after them, I say to people. So that's how you sell it in the bank. And they think, yeah, you're right, yeah.
I think even in your story, the fact you've just shared there, you had a stroke during that, and that was on the back of a car accident. I think that's, you wouldn't even think that could potentially happen, and just from stepping in your car at 21 years old. That's
went to bed on the 27th of August, thinking everything's fine. Next day, I didn't wake up for 4 months. It was a great sleep, but I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know. I didn't plan for that to happen. And people, nobody plans an illness. And I think it's 1 in 2 getting a cancer stuff grim, but 1 in 2. It was 1 in 4 a couple of years ago. I remember when I was in the bank working. And now it's 1 in 2.
Yeah.
Not just cancer. There's so many illnesses out there. And a critical illness policy covers a list of different illnesses, I suppose. And it could help you take so much pressure off you and also your family. It could break relationships up. Financial worries and stress cause a huge weight on a family, your kids especially as well. But that could take so much freedom off you, I suppose, so much worry and stress off you.
And it just shows the importance of the advisor, doesn't it? And a lot of products that are out there now, not just Legal & General, other providers as well, where attached to them we have these services, these wellbeing services where people can access counselling and stuff like that. Yeah. So what you're saying and the need that's out there at the moment, customers being aware of those types of things is really, really important.
Yeah, because even our claims stats, they came out recently, and it is, we are seeing every year mental health being a reason why people are having to take time off work and claim on their IPP policy, and exactly probably for many of the reasons you've discussed today. And it's those external pressures and the pressures you put on internally, isn't it, that get more and more heightened. And when we look at the kind of average age that people are claiming on income protection, what I'm finding interesting is it's not overly old, but it's probably at that age that you've spoken about of, actually, I'm wanting to reevaluate my life here and have I been living life the way that I would have wanted to?
Pressure, isn't it? As you go up and up and up and up, and then something breaks it. The scenarios you gave, someone cuts you up in the traffic or whatever it is. There's that at that point, people get to it and something breaks. And you just don't want to get there, do you?
Yeah. I used to coach sales for years in banks and insurance. I say to people, it's not up to you. Don't make the decisions. It's up to the customer. You've got to be able to provide the solutions to the customer, explain the pitfalls, the negatives, the positives. Let the customer choose at the end of the day. But you've got to do a good job. I say to people before, imagine you didn't offer that product to that customer because you didn't believe in it, and they came in 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, and something's happened to them, and then they've lost their whatever. It could be extreme, or their mortgage, they lost their house. How do you feel about that? Oh, exactly. So don't make that choice for the customer. Give the customer the choice, the decision. Explain the benefits to them, and let the customer choose. And I can sleep at night. When I was in the bank, I could sleep every single night. I've never missold a product in my life. I've always sold to customer needs. I got a conscience. I treat people. It's a bit cheesy. It was my parents. So after every interview I did in the bank or whatever, I think, would I be happy if my mother and father sat across a desk from me? Would I be happy with that? And how could I do things better, differently next time? I always try and learn and grow all the time. When I was in the bank, and that's why I was successful at sales. But I say to people now, don't make the decision for the customer, because you never know. They'll come back and bite you on the backside one day. If you haven't done that product or even explained the product to the customer and something happens, they'll come back in and they'll see you and say, why didn't you tell me about that product? That could have helped me massively. Oh, I didn't think it was right.
And that fits in so much, doesn't it, where the regulator is nowadays in terms of making sure that customers understand things using simple language and they go in there with their eyes wide open. Yeah. So, it fits with that totally.
It does. I'm curious, Andrew, how do you stay balanced? Because I'm conscious, obviously, you have a lot of plates there to spin in terms of promoting the well-being. The passion you have is infectious, when you're talking about it. Then obviously you've probably got a lot more attention since being on the Traitors as well, and all the, social media aspect. How do you, throughout all of that kind of peaks and troughs, kind of stay and maintain that well-being for yourself?
Have you watched my social media this morning?
I haven't. No, I've been
I did a
busy
video
filming
with this morning.
podcasts.
I did a video with this morning.
Oh, I've teed you up then.
I'm real. Honestly, I'm a real person. I want to be the real person. I did a video I was a mess last week. So I all these analogies out there. You can't pour from an empty cup and your bucket and all that sort of thing. Last week, it was just crazy. I burst into tears of no reason at all last week. I was so busy. I was in a school on Tuesday for children who'd been expelled from mainstream school, working with them, toxic masculinity. Their ages are between 8 and 16. They didn't ask for any of that. And they're brought into this world. When you're a child, you're the most truest, authentic version of yourself. And then you become a product of your environment in life, I suppose. There's nobody born with self-esteem issues, confidence issues, racism. We're all just born equal. There's no difference, do we? But then through different programming, conditioning, we just end up a different way then. So I was in a school all day Tuesday, and I was like drained. I got home, I cried because I felt I wasn't adding any value to their lives. Really, it was hard. It was a tough day. Wednesday, I met the King then in London. I went to see Buckingham Palace on Wednesday, so it was a long day in London. Didn't get home till late. Thursday, I had to get up in the morning, drive 5.5 hours then up to the Lake District to a VE Day celebration. Drive back 5.5 hours on the Friday. So I was just burnt out. So I didn't fill my bucket at all last week. So the things that make me happy, get out in nature, going for walks, spending time with loved ones, going to the gym, eating healthy, prepping my food, all went out the window for a couple of weeks. I put a video on the day. I said, I'm a human being, but I'm not perfect. So people look at my social media, your life is good, you're meeting the King, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but that's not real. I said, yeah, it's real. I'm not being ungrateful, I said, but I'm a real person. I let my things slip. I'm not perfect. I'm not a robot. I got feelings and emotions, the same as every single other person. But I'm just more self-aware now than I was a couple of years ago. That's the real difference to me now than me, say, 3 or 4 years ago. I know my triggers. I know when I'm slipping, and I can put things in place quite quickly to stop me spiraling. Whereas years ago, I'd be down for days, if not weeks and weeks and weeks in a bad, dark place. But now I say that's the only difference between me now and years ago. I got coping mechanisms I can implement quite quickly. So if I know I'm getting irritable, you're the most important person in the world. You're the most important person. Anybody, you are everybody. I'm the most important, not my son, not my mother and father. I am. And if I'm not right, how can I help anybody else? So you've got to look after yourself. It's not selfish to say no, whereas I want to help everyone. I got a big heart and I want to change the world, but I got to look after myself better. So I'm not perfect at doing it. I'm better, but I slip down again as well. But I just turn my phone off, get off social media, go for a walk in nature, climb a mountain, go to the gym, then just chill out. Sauna. I had an amazing weekend last weekend. A couple of saunas, walks, gym, just relaxing.
And you're sharing it though. That's the huge thing about it. It's so important that you're sharing that so people can see both sides. So you've got all the great things that you were doing last week that appear really, really great, but you're sharing what's behind the scenes, the effect it had on you, and then presumably you're then sharing how you're keeping yourself in check and the sorts of things that you're doing to fill that bucket.
It takes discipline, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to just keep going with that busyness.
Yeah.
But we spoke about it in the episode with Matt that we filmed earlier today as well, and he was talking about you actually do have to be quite disciplined to sometimes when you're feeling low. You have to just force yourself to go for that run, force yourself to eat healthy again. And one thing I'll say is to go from seeing the King last week and then with us at L&G, I don't know which is more prestigious for you, Andrew, but
this is more benefit. This is more this. Yeah, not just saying it. This fills my cup more than meeting the King. I'm not ungrateful. I'm not a material person. I've been a bodyguard in London, looked after lots of famous people. I think people are just people at the end of the day. They're just good at their jobs. I think I'm good at my job, but I don't. Do you get autographs of Johnny Depp? No, just a person at the end of the day. At the end, I respect him for who he is, and he's good-looking people, but there's people, and I think the King is just a person at the end of the day. He's not better than me as a person.
But he probably also has days where you'll be higher or low. As you said, we're all human, aren't we?
If I had the choice, like if somebody said to me, do you want to meet the King again, or do you want to help change a young boy's life? 100% every single time I do that. A podcast like this, helping, hopefully people listening to this will take little nuggets away, tips they can implement in their lives to help turn their life around. So this means more to me. The ripple effect this has means more to me than meeting the King. He came on and shook my hand and chatted to me for a couple of minutes, and I'm thinking, it was nice. It was nice to say I've done it. I've ticked the box. It was nice to say I've done it, but that's not going to change lives, is it? And I suppose the recognition of the hard work I'm doing and the things I'm doing, but if I had a choice to do anything, something like this, or talk to somebody again, or speak to somebody, I'd do that every single time. I'd decline the invitation every single time. If it clashed with something important, I wouldn't have done it. I'm not being ungrateful.
You're not ungrateful at all. I think what you're doing is hugely admirable, and it's like what you said. You're a human being. You've got a passion and a care for others, and
my purpose in life. I found my purpose in life, and like I said, I climbed that ladder, and it wasn't my purpose, wasn't my goal. I felt empty. My heart and my soul feel full now, fuller than I ever have. So I found my purpose in life. I haven't got a house, I haven't got nothing anymore, really. I haven't got a good body anymore, nothing. But I feel better than I ever have in my life because I'm doing what I want to do. I'm chasing my dream and I'm doing what I do, help changing lives, inspire. I had a message of somebody last weekend, a 16-year-old boy. He thought about taking his own life a few times. He decided not to do it because he watched my videos on social media, how I turned my life around and what I've done. And I've come from this big, I walk into the schools, for example, a big, strong bloke, Jim, oh, you're a big man. Yeah, but I cry over Marley and me. Well, you cry? Yeah, it doesn't make me weak. I can still check out a nightclub, but I'll give you a cuddle at the same time. So I said, there's nothing wrong with being strong as long as you're emotionally intelligent as well.
And how does it feel? So just to go back to what that individual that messaged you, 16-year-old boy, and the message that I got goosebumps when you were telling me about that. Must feel amazing that the fact of your video has made him change his mind.
It does. It does feel amazing, and obviously you can't see the effect I have on most people I touch. I can't see that because it's social media. I'm so accessible at the moment since the Traitors, social media. I don't know what effect I'm having on many people. People do message me now. I do get a lot of messages. There's probably people out there who think, "Oh, I'm not going to message." So I'm probably helping so many people out there, and this is what I do. So all I want to do when I close my eyes on my deathbed, hopefully it'll be a long, long time away. I want to close my eyes and when I made a difference to the planet. You're emotional. That's all I want to do is make a difference to the planet. Like, at 21, what have I done in my life? Got drunk at the rugby club every weekend. What have I done? I haven't seen any of the world. I haven't done anything. What a waste of life that is. But now, I got my purpose in life now. So I want to, as you get 2 dates on a headstone eventually, and the dash in the middle, I want to make that dash as best as possible. If I wanted to buy a book, I want to read my book, basically. And up until 21, don't get me wrong, I had a good time when I was younger and fun and all that sort of thing. But I go to my local pub or club now, and it's the same people talking about the same stories. I went up there a couple of weeks ago. Remember that time you got chucked to the Remarkably hotel when you were 17? I'm 46. I was funny 30 years ago. I'm a different person. It's not funny anymore. Then people, they're great. If that's what they want in life, that's what makes them happy. That's fine. You can work hard all week, get smashed on the weekend, work hard, repeat every weekend. And I was one of them. But I think, there's so much more to life in there. I want to grow and see the world and experience different cultures and help people.
And what I'm hearing there is just find that purpose. Obviously, something happened for you that enabled you to do it. So it was a catalyst, wasn't it?
A professor, I saved my life, I suppose. So it's funny because I met the man who's not funny, but I met him 18 months ago. And then I spoke to my mother and father the first time ever about the accident. They never asked me about it. It was brushed under the carpet, the elephant in the room. We didn't talk about it. So I spat my mother and father down, and I wanted to talk about things on social media, but I didn't want my family to find out third party. It included them. They haven't got social media, but they would hear in the shop or whatever. So I sat them down and I want to talk about the accident. What do I talk about that for? So I want to talk about it. You're a different boy, you're changed, you're a different boy now. So what do you mean by that? Oh, you're moody, you're miserable, you're quiet. I said, it's funny. I said, whenever you speak to anybody outside of this house who knows me and work, people, he's fun, he's a life and soul, he's always messing around. My mother would look at him and think, Andrew's really quiet. I said, only when I come in this house, I said, because I didn't think Dad loved me anymore. Oh, it was stupid, of course he loves you. He's never told me ever, to this day, he's never told me he's loved me. And my mother's probably told me once. They got different things called love languages. My dad's love language is time. If he'd give up his time, every rugby match I played, he'd be on the touchline, the rain, the snow, the sleet. That was his way of showing his love to me. My mother's is acts of service. So the way she shows her love, she does things I never lifted a finger when I lived at home. When I moved home out when I was 22, I never used an iron, never used a washing machine, never used a cooker. I was useless when I left home. My brother's exactly the same. They couldn't do anything because she would do everything for us. I came in from rugby or training, dumped my washing on the floor. She'd iron it, wash it, iron it, fold it, put it back in the wardrobe. And that was what it was like, and that's the way she shows her love. So when I set up with my partner a year ago, after 5 years, I was quite upset about it. And I went to my mother's house looking for a hug, or she looks at me, I'll make you some Welsh cakes. What? Dude, that's the way she's doing things. I feel they're amazing people. Just give me a hug. And it's just, they don't know how to do that. So that's their love language. So I grew up. So I spoke to my mother and father the first time ever about the accident 18 months ago. It was mad. And they said, I said, Dad didn't love me anymore. I didn't think that. Because the only way I thought of making him proud was playing rugby. So when I couldn't play rugby anymore, I thought, how can I make my dad proud? I can't make him proud. He's never told me he's proud of me or loves me. My brothers are still playing rugby as well, a very good standard professionally. So every Sunday, my mother would do a big family dinner in the evening. So she'd make pies, pasties, pizzas, gatos, whatever. All the family, my brothers and the girlfriends and wives would go there with the children. All the boys would end up in one room. My dad watching rugby on the telly, normally scrum 5 on a Sunday afternoon. And then all the brothers would say, I played rugby yesterday, I scored a try, I did this, I did that. My dad's listening to it, and I was sat there thinking, what can I talk about? But I thought my brothers are better than me. I thought he loved them more than me. And this went on for 20 years. I didn't go totally quiet, but I only speak if I got spoken to or asked the question. So I'm really quiet. I suppressed everything in my house. So I spoke to them for the first time ever 18 months ago. And on a Saturday morning, I sat my son down in a coffee shop in Cardiff. He was 22 at the time. He was in Cardiff Met doing sport in university. And we had a 4.5 hour chat about everything. Everything. We were close before. Me and his mother separated when he was about 5 or 6. We were close before that. But after that conversation, we talked about drink, drugs, girls, life, everything. And at the end of that conversation, I told him I loved him for the first time in his life. It took me 22 years to tell myself I loved him. I did exactly the same to him as what, not did, I had to me growing up, I suppose. So I did the same to him. And I told him I'm proud of him. So I don't care how big your house is, what car you got, what you do for a living. As long as you're happy, that's all I care about in life. So I broke with that generational cycle in my family. We tell each other we love each other all the time now. He's 23 now. He just come back from Australia after a year. So I spoke to my brother on a Saturday after, my oldest brother, my other brother on a Sunday, and my other brother on a Monday. It's like a huge therapy weekend. It was brushed under the carpet for years. And I said, you bottle these things up in your head, but 85% of what we overthink or worry about never comes true. 12% comes true, but nowhere near as bad as we think. There's something like 2 or 3% comes true. So all the energy and effort we give this worried about this conversation with your boss, your partner, just have the conversation. It's not as bad as it won't be as bad as you think. But you worry about it. I bottled it up for 20 odd years. And that's why men take their own life, and women as well, men especially, because they bottle things up. But I made myself ill and bad. I wish I'd talked a lot sooner than I did. But yeah, it's only been recently. I've been in a good place the last 2 years. I'm helping people. I want to help other people out there now.
You definitely do. I mean, we've spoken twice now, and I kind of pre-call for this and now this conversation, and definitely each time I've sat and reflected.
It's inspirational, isn't it?
I found you so helpful. The things you say are so helpful, genuinely.
Thank you.
If we summarise our conversation today, and I don't know if maybe you just shared one of your top. I don't know if you just shared one of your top tips, but what would be, if there was one thing to anyone listening to this, what would be your kind of key piece you'd want to take away, your key top tip for them?
There's so many.
If you had to pick one.
God, one, just talk. And that's something I'm going to sit there and say it's easy. It took me years to do it, but there's always somebody to listen. And I've got family, it could be anybody, a work colleague. I say to people in the business, said, don't walk past. If you know somebody's struggling, especially in the workplace as well, if you get to know people, 8, 9 hours a day in work, or 10, 11, 12 I was, but you get to know people. So all of a sudden, if you notice, Louise stops coming in, or she's been late every day, or she didn't see her lunch, just say to her, is everything, I noticed X, Y, and Z, is everything okay? You just walk past it. So you asking that can be the difference to her going on and taking her own life, and not. Well, I'm not going to sound a bit drastic, but that's the truth of the matter. I say, just speak to them. I understand people don't want to trigger, and they get nervous about a conversation, but I say, I'd rather have an awkward conversation with you now than come to your bedside in 6 months' time, or even worse, your funeral. I'd rather have this conversation with you now. And like I said earlier on, all people want sometimes is people to listen to them and talk to them. And I say, just open up and talk to them, and just say, and in work especially, or you see somebody in the petrol station, the guy in the petrol station, the lady in the checkout, just be nice and polite. You don't know what's going on in their lives. Just say hello to them and be polite. To you, that might be something simple, but to them, that could be the difference between them going home and doing something and not. You don't know, they might have just lost somebody recently, gone through a divorce, lost their job, been diagnosed terminally ill, whatever. You don't know what's going on in their lives. Just be nice to people. The world is so grim at the moment. You've got the news, it's depressed, the war going on and everything. And I stopped watching the news a couple of years ago, not because I'm ignorant, but I protect my own mental health. There's nothing good on the news. There's nothing on there saying, this guy helped this lady across the road, or this guy, there's nothing good on there. It's all grim and depressing. I don't watch it anymore. But just be nice to people. That's the other tip. Be nice.
So be nice and talk. I think that's definitely, I don't think anybody would be able to say that's not something they can achieve or try and do from listening to this.
Definitely not. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew.
I talk way too much.
You don't.
I'm passionate about it. You can tell.
You can see. Yeah. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.